Okay, so I covered the back of the top, maybe half of my canvas with the white. And now I'm going to use some blue. I want to use just a tiny bit of blue mixed in with the white. And it's just going to make a really, really faded color. And I'm going to start right in the middle with the light blue color. And as I get towards the top of my canvas, I'm going to get a little darker. Adding a little bit more blue. But you already have the white on the canvas, so that's going to mix right in with your color as you go. If I was actually Bob Ross, I would have a really, really big brush, like almost like a wall painting brush for this, but I don't. Well, actually I do, but it's all ruined because I forgot to clean my brush. I'm painting my deck. So I'm just gonna get a little darker, like that value scale that some of you might have done with me. It's a little bit darker as it goes towards the very top of the canvas, and that will give the illusion of depth. Makes the sky look like it's going far off in the distance. So if you wanted to, after you finish putting on your blue, if you wanted to try and do a little bit of that sunrise effect in your sky while your white is still wet, you could take the tiniest little bit of red and you might need to mix it again in with the white. It's almost barely noticeable. Just a little bit. Mine is drying pretty quickly because I'm painting on cardboard. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's literally barely there. That little tiniest bit of red that I added to kind of give almost like a sunrise kind of a glow on mine. Okay. How's everyone doing? Here we go. So I'm also gonna grab a little bit of black, not too much, but I want it to be kind of dark because we're doing the underneath side of the mountain first. Okay, does that make sense? The base. Okay. Then I'm going to add a little bit of white in there to give sort of like a grayish tone to it. Okay. Once I have my color mixed, I like to wipe my palette knife clean. And then I'm going to use my clean palette knife to scrape those colors onto my palette knife. And you scrape it and it makes this roll of paint on your palette knife. Okay? When you do that, then you can start making your mountain. So I'm gonna start at the very top of my mountain and I'm just gonna kind of pull down and use the palette knife to make the point or the tip of the mountain. and then just pull down. I'm practicing on just a plain piece of paper before I do it on my canvas. If you feel confident and you're good with this, you can go ahead and start it on your canvas. But it's definitely a technique that if you've never done it before, I recommend you practice first. Some of you have done paintings with mountains in them before, and maybe you can do a different kind of mountain this time. Instead of doing just a triangle mountain, maybe give it some variation. So it's not just one peak of a triangle, maybe there's some more peaks in there. So the next thing I'm going to do, once I have the base color for my mountain, I'm going to add some white. I'll just pick up some of that color that I used for my mountain, and I got a little bit of white mixed in with it now. And now I'm going to add the highlights onto my mountain. But I'm going to just kind of roll with that palette knife. Don't even press too hard. I just want there to be little spots in there that look like rock. That's going to give it that realistic look. Almost like the sun is hitting the edge of the mountain or the edge of the snow or whatever's on the mountain. But can you see that? It's like a trick. It's just an illusion. It makes it look like rock. After I do that light part, I'm cleaning my brush off, my palette knife off. I'm gonna make that same kind of brownish color again, but I'm mixing some black into it now. This is for the shadows. So I'm going to go on to the other side there, opposite where that white is, and I'm going to add a little bit of shadowy areas. Just gives it more depth, makes it look a little more realistic. And if you're comfortable with this, you feel good about it, start right onto your canvas. Same thing, you're going to start with that kind of like a base color, and then you add the light and then the dark. My canvas board, my cardboard here is so bumpy though. I think I need to it's almost like this is better on one of those really nice flat canvases. I'm making a super mess of all my paint right now. And I'm just gonna throw my mountain right here. Oh, it gives it a weird pattern from doing it on cardboard. That's okay. It's a cardboard mountain.
Are we brushing out the bottom of the mountain?
Yeah, I'll do that on my canvas, just to blend that into the bottom a little more. Don't look at the weird pattern on mine. Hopefully you guys have a nice non-cardboard effect on yours. So once you have your mountains all placed where you want them to be, ooh, maybe use a better brush than that. Take a little bit more of that color on a brush and just brush it down, and that just fills that space in there. That way you're not trying to cover all of that space with your trees when you get to that section. I didn't even add the highlights yet. Right now all I'm doing is filling in that little bit of a space pull down some of that wet paint right onto the area below your mountains. Now I can go in with my highlights. I'm going to add some of the white right into that mountain color. Get a little roll on your palette knife, just like that. And just roll it right down on your mountain. And if it mixes, that's okay. That's what nature looks like. This is like Bob Ross is like the king of the painting hacks. This is like one of those, like a life hack, but it's a painting hack. And you can have more snow or rock or whatever's on the top of yours, or less. Sometimes another cool thing to do, if you wanted to try it, you can, instead of adding just white to lighten up your mountain peaks, you can add a little bit of like a red and yellow into it, and that will make it look like the morning sun is coming up and hitting the mountains. I don't know if you've ever seen Bob Ross do that. That always looks really cool. Now I got my highlights on there. I'm gonna just go in and add my shadowy areas. I'm gonna add a little black right into the color that I already mixed. Sort of that brownish everything color. Get that roll on your palette knife and just go in and add some shadowy areas here and there, just where the sun is not hitting. It gives it kind of a balance, and it sort of makes it have more depth. It looks a little more realistic. I like to include a lot more of the light areas, but that's just me.